So it's been a few years since we did an updated video on the Acuity Speech desktop video magnifier with speech. So with all the new features and things that we have in the new Acuity Speech, we thought we'd do an updated tutorial, show you all the details, show you how to use this guy effectively.
Welcome to Irie-AT, Braille and Innovation.
So to get started, you're first going to need to just plug this into the wall. Then you can plug into the back of the Acuity Speech with the included power adapter. And then also there's an included remote control. This has a dongle you're going to want to plug into the back so that you can control the remote control if you want to use it. So you also have back there a couple of HDMI inputs if you want to plug in a computer or a camera and view it on the Acuity Speech screen. All right, so then once you have all those things done, all you have to do is press the power button on Acuity Speech, turn it on, and then a few seconds later you'll see your live image on the screen. To get my proper ergonomic position, I can tilt this, or so I can slide it up and down. I can also tilt it in different ways to make sure that I get the reading angle and everything just the way that I like it. You also have a brake on this. So there's 4 different positions. On the far right where I am now, it's going to keep it in the fixed position. That way I can write on here and do things and not have the tray move around on me. On the far left position, swing it all the way there. Now I'm moving freely, moving with the world. This is kind of how I like to use it a lot of times. But if you move it over just one click from the left to the right, you're going to get it where there's a little more resistance on the up and down. You feel a step in it when you move, which is kind of nice. Sets you in a groove so you can read along here. I can still move up and down, but it doesn't just lose, fly all over the place on me. Now, if I want to make sure I can't move up and down, I really just want to read right to left. Let me get one click over, sorry, went all the way over and came back. And now I'm not able to go up and down, only able to go left and right. Then again, for full brake, just move it all the way over to the right. Gives you some options to make it easier to control and more ergonomic using the Acuity Speech. So in terms of other physical features, you have the power button on the back right side, lower side of the screen. So then on the left-hand side, you have a speaker, and then it also has a headphone jack for listening privately and a USB stick for importing and exporting files to and from the Acuity Speech. All right, so in order to operate the Acuity Speech, you have a bunch of different ways you can use it. You can use the touchscreen, you can use the main controls, and then you also can use the included tactile remote control. Gives you different ways depending on your body position, if you want to hold the remote in your hand and do it, or however you want to use it, gives you a bunch of different options. So starting off, you have your main controls. They're just under the main screen. So you have your screen, then under them you have 4 different icon groups, and those will do different things to control the device. I'll show you how those work in just a moment. For people that want to have a tactile control, you can use the included tactile remote. And there's also a neat little, it's a silicone strip that comes with the Acuity Speech. And you can just set it on there and put it over these buttons. Allows you to feel it and give you something tactile to help guide you. Now to take that off again, all I need to do is just peel that back off. You also have a remote control. I can pop this off here, it's Bluetooth, connects to the dongle in the back to control the unit. Has 2 sides, one is the reading side for my scan and read, and then one is the live magnification mode. I'll show you how these things work. Okay, so let's get started using the Acuity Speech. We're in live magnification mode. I can move my document and move around in the text, and I can also release this brake and go into different positions like I showed you earlier. Makes it easier to move the text, keep my place, and not have such a strain on my wrists. So now if I want to change the contrast, I have 2 different ways that I can do that. One is on the tactile remote. I have a button to change the contrast, and the same icon appears then on the screen where I can press the screen, and that will change between the different contrast options that I have. And I can show you how to turn these off and on in the advanced menu later on. But I just press this. It's neat too, because as I press it, it cycles through all the different colors. I can also swipe. Oh, I missed the one I want. Well, I can swipe and go back. And that's kind of handy. I don't like it when you have to go through 300 things, and so you have to do it very nice, concerted movement. And then I can go back to my favorite and not have to cycle through all the rest of them. Now, if I long press on that, that's going to change to my full color mode. If I'm viewing photographs or I need a bigger depth of field or whatever I might need full color for, it'll switch between that for me. So you might notice when I did the change from the contrast color to full color, it also changed the magnification. So maybe, you know, I'm viewing a photograph or something and then I want to go back to my reading, I'm going to probably view that photograph at a different magnification level and it'll remember that. So now I hold it and go back to reading, I'm magnified back in to where I can actually see the letters. Moving along from the left to the right on the main control panel, it has a magnifying glass in the center of this icon. It's a rectangle on the left side. I have a minus button. I can press that and it will zoom out. If I press the plus button on the right side, it's going to zoom in. I've got a multi-function button on the far right side. It's another rectangle, this one with a circle in the middle. If I tap on that, it will go through my different brightness settings. So I go to 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, I have to actually hit it. I'm looking at the camera, not looking at the device. I'll press it again, and it goes through your 5 different levels of brightness. Now you can also swipe this if you want to go left or right. Left will decrease your contrast, right will increase it. You can change your contrast, and then in photo mode, that'll change your white color. And don't worry, you can turn all this stuff off. You can make a simplified mode on this if you're worried you'll be confused. It's a very simple machine to operate. So the other function that you have as an option on this far right side of the main controls is I can hold this down, and it's like 2 seconds, I hold it down, and then I get different reading lines. So as I touch that, it'll give me different positions for those reading lines. So depending on where I want the line, I can position that. So if I swipe up or down, this will also swipe through my different options that I have for lines or blinds, vertical or horizontal. I can swipe through those using just swiping up and down. And then when I want to turn off lines and blinds, I'm just going to hold that icon for 2 seconds, boop, it's gone. Okay, so if you want to write underneath the Acuity Speech, you're going to want to turn off the autofocus. That'll keep it from focusing on your hand and just focus on the tray where you're writing instead. To do that, you just press the magnifier between the plus and minus buttons on the main controls. Little pen icon will come up, and that'll show that it's locked, so I can write. I always write the same thing because I'm boring. All right, so I can write easily underneath that and see what I'm actually writing. And then when I want to turn the autofocus off, plus or minus, just change the zoom level, that'll turn the autofocus off. All right, so let's get into the fun stuff and start playing with the speech. So I put a full page document under there. This will scan a full A4 or letter size document. And to get into the scanning, the OCR mode, I can either tap on the power button, and it'll get me in there, or I can even just simply flip over the remote control. And that will automatically...
Document on the tableau inside the yellow rectangle. Press play button to continue.
And that will automatically switch me between modes. So now if I flip it back over, I'll go back to my live mode. So reflip it.
Place a document on the tableau inside the yellow rectangle. Press play button to continue.
It's kind of helpful. The speaking menu tells you what to do, tells you what buttons you're pressing, those kinds of things. Another thing you can turn off, but it's helpful to know. Put the document in the yellow place, press play, which appears in 2 different places. I've got a play icon on the screen. I've also got a play button on the remote control. So I can just press
Aloud.
Press the remote control, give me a little
2024 National Federation of...
Sorry, it gives me a little hourglass thing for a second. Only takes, what, a couple of seconds, and starts reading a full page of text. And now I'm in speech mode. If I want to start or stop reading,
National Federation of the Blind of Washington annual...
I just touch on the screen and it will read from wherever I touch. It'll stop, just wherever, just touching it anywhere. But if I want to read up at the top, I can press there. If I want to read at the bottom, I can press there, wherever.
Blind of Washington Annual Convention, February 29.
Anyway, it starts reading from wherever I touch it. You notice there's a bunch of different icons and things under here to control different things. I can control the reading speed, I can control the volume, I can pause and play, I can move through paragraphs, I can move, the first arrows are move word to word, and then I can also move paragraph up and down. And then the final button on the right side is to reset the document. So I can have those all on the screen all the time. I can have them not on the screen. I can have a simplified mode where they only show the basic ones that you need, and I'll show you how to get into those things in the menus. But for now, let's just play with these features. I'm going to start it reading, and then you'll hear how it sounds and how it looks when I do different things on the screen.
29 March 3rd, 2020.
I should mention also, you can pause and play and do a lot of this stuff from this remote control. You can change word for word and paragraph to paragraph, and you can even zoom
in,
all using the remote control, so you can use a tactile remote if that's what you prefer. Now, let me get going.
2024, the Heathman Watch 7800.
Yeah, I can slow it down.
Greenwood Drive, Vancouver, Washington, 98662, the Annual Convention of the National Federation of the Blind of Washington, NFBW.
You can see you can speed it up and slow it down quite a bit. Now let's play with the volume.
Washington NFBW will be bigger, better, and more exciting than ever before. Over 150 blind individuals, educators, rehabilitators.
Pretty cool. Now if I want to move word to word.
Professionals and professionals, rehabilitation educators.
You can move back and forth. If you want to move to the next section, press down, move back a section, press up. And then if I want to reset the document, I just press
Click Read Aloud. Place a document on the tableau inside the yellow rectangle. Press play button to continue.
So I'll just press that square button on the far right side, and then I'm back to my reading mode. So let's get rid of that, and let's bring in a newspaper and have a little bit of fun with it. I'm going to do this one upside down. Why not? Just to show you, what it can do. I think I pressed the remote. I'll press this button this time.
Read Aloud.
Living Well Expo presented by the Corvallis Clinic in Willamette Valley Christian Supply and Hallmark Gold.
All right.
Slower.
Slow that down a little bit.
Gold Crown, 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Saturday, November 4th. More than 60 events.
You notice how it gets perfect accuracy, and I had it upside down, a cruddy newspaper, not anything that is good, sort of gray on dark gray, and it scans it perfectly. So let's look at some other things that we can do with the settings. On the far left-hand side of this menu bar,
User Preferences.
I've got my settings button. So now I've got a bunch of icons on the left side that give me different menus that I can use within this. First one that comes up, I can change the view.
Image view. Original view digital text.
So this just gives me what the newspaper looks like beforehand. I like
Preferences. Digital view.
I like the digital view.
Digital view full screen.
I get nice, perfect contrast and everything on there.
User Preferences.
So now I have a few different digital view options. I can do just a line at a time.
Digital view line.
This is kind of cool.
Living Well Expo presented by the Corvallis Clinic in Willamette Valley Christian Supply.
Okay.
User Preferences.
So I can also just do one word at a time.
Digital view word.
Supply and Hallmark Gold Crown, 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Saturday, November 4th. More than 60 events.
We found kind of anecdotally that people can speed read using the one word at a time mode. It's kind of a funny concept to think of low vision speed reading. Pretty cool.
Vendors will line the interior of the mall. The expo offers a chance to ask questions and see demonstrate.
User Preferences.
All right.
Digital view full screen.
So we also have a choice to select the entire thing that we're scanning or break it into zones. So like if you're using a newspaper or a magazine or something like that, trying to read that, you're going to want to keep that in sections, but then you turn on the zones.
Free mode enabled. Zones enabled.
So, and then when you are in your zones, you have the ability to change the colors of those and change the highlighting that's in the zones. So you can also change the word marker that you use to highlight the text as you're reading. I've been using the inverse text one. You can also switch that to a box or a line of different colors.
Word marker frame.
So now here, changing to the frame.
Demonstrations of dozens of products and services. There will also be over 2,000 dollars.
Now I'll highlight it with
User preferences.
a line.
Word marker line.
$2,000 indoor prizes. Gift bag for the first 500 people. Chairman.
User preferences.
The one I really like is the
Word marker inverted.
that one works sweet for me.
Massages and a chance to collect millions.
Can really
of points for your
see-
favorite participating.
Can really see stuff so much more clearly for me that way, but depending on what you want, you have those options.
User preferences. Word marker frame.
And now if you use the frame or the line, you also have a choice on the color of that frame or line if you're having trouble seeing yellow or whatever it may be. One thing that's really cool in the speech mode, so I can tap on a word anywhere and it'll start reading.
Participating points for non-profit organization. Michelle Moore.
I can press anywhere on the screen and it'll stop reading. Now I can also auto cue, which won't voice, or it'll kind of just scroll down basically if I double tap on the screen. So this, I can just kind of have it scroll down if I want to just read it and have it kind of read to me, but I don't want to read it aloud. That's kind of a neat way to read through things and not really have to touch anything, just kind of let it do the work for you. That's the auto cue feature.
Auto cue stopped.
Double tap, and I'm back to the regular speech mode. Now, if I want to reset my document, all I have to do is press
Quick read aloud. Place a document on the tableau inside the yellow rectangle. Press play button to continue. Start read aloud.
Living Well Expo presented by the Corvallis Clinic in Willamette Valley.
So within the speech mode, you also have access to a settings menu. And that not only impacts what you're doing for speech, but you can control other things on the device. To do that, I'm going to press the left far side of the menu bar that is on the speech mode.
User preferences.
It's got a purple box around it and 3 lines with dots on them. A little visual perspective. So the first view that I've got in here is view. And that I showed you when I was looking at the speech earlier. These are different ways to control how the speech is viewed.
Read aloud preferences.
So I can also change the language for when I'm reading aloud, and it goes through a bunch of different language options for what are my first choices for reading, and then what are the voices that correspond with them. And what's cool about that is that it'll go through these and look for these. I can have multiple languages within a document. It'll find it. Say I have English and Spanish in the same document. It'll read with Tom when I'm reading English, and it'll read with Carlos when it finds Spanish. It'll translate multiple documents all at once, read them back to you, not only in the correct language, but with the correct voice. Notice there'll be a difference if Tom read your Spanish.
My name is Tom.
Versus Carlos.
Mi nombre es Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos is going to sound a little better. And we have the same thing if you want French.
Je m'appelle Amélie.
We have French Canadian, since we're kind of a little bit closer to Canada than France. And then we have Portuguese, since we have a lot of customers in South America.
Meu nome é Felipe.
And you gotta have Felipe for that. Okay, so also within the Speak Aloud menu, you can change the reading speed.
Reading speed 100%.
And you can change the volume. You have an independent volume for your main controls. This will just impact how fast it reads and how loud it reads when you're reading things that you've scanned. All right, next one down is system settings.
System settings.
Now within here, now I'm controlling the whole system. Now the language isn't just for my read aloud language, now it's for the whole system. If I need this to not speak English, I want it to speak Spanish, or I want it to speak German, or I want it to whatever, you can change that here.
Select system language.
See, there's quite a large selection of languages available.
English language selected.
I'm going to stick with English since I can understand that one. Okay, so you can also change the voice that's associated with your main system voice. I have Allison selected, but I can just change that
Select system voice.
to Susan. How about that?
Susan voice selected.
All right, now we got Susan talking to us. Change it back to Allison.
Select system voice.
I like Allison.
Allison voice selected.
She sounds so nice. Okay, and if I want to hear the voice again,
My name is Allison.
just press the little play button. So here I can change my system volume. This will impact the entire system, how loud the beeps are, all that stuff. I can change equalizer settings if I want more bass, or I want to try different sounds to maybe it's more clear to me in different ways. I can change the reading size, so when I scan a document, it comes up at a certain size by default. I can also change the audio feedback that I get. If I want to have commands tell me all the things like, oh, put it in the box and scan it, then I leave that on the left side with the little bubble box, or a little bubble. Then I have a music note. That's just gonna give me beeps. If I don't want all the drawn out telling me stuff, it's just gonna beep so I know I hit a button. And then I can also turn audio feedback off if it's just bugging me. Now, in the system setting, I have a whole nother level of fun. I can get into a deeper level of stuff by hitting the right bottom side. There's a little swoopy arrow.
System settings page 2.
Now, this is cool because it gives me a few different presets that you might want to use. If you want to say perhaps you want your whole screen available for reading, I'm going to use preset 2.
Interface 2.
I'm going to hit settings and go back to my reading. Now, do you notice the settings bar is gone? I can get that back, I can use it. I just tap on the left-hand side of the screen and it pops back up, but then I can use my whole screen for reading. Maybe I don't want those on there all the time. That'd be my preset 2.
User preferences. System settings.
Back into there. Okay, so now my preset 3. This would be if you want a more simplified mode. You don't want a bunch of complicated stuff, you just want to scan and read, and this would be your simplified mode.
Interface 3.
I hit 3.
Press and hold the lower
Hit
left
this.
corner on the start screen for 8 seconds to open the menu, while in Interface 3. Continue.
So I like this. It warns you. You're about to go into a thing with not a lot of menus and you're going to need to get out of this. So it tells you how before you even get into it. And I'll show you how that works in just a minute. So I'll say OK. I could also cancel it. But now you notice I've got some simplified buttons on the bottom. I can change the volume, I can start and stop, I can start a new document, but there's not a whole bunch of other stuff that maybe is confusing me. But I also can't get into the menu, which is a good thing, I guess, if you don't want to change things and have things confuse you.
Quick read aloud. Place a document on the tableau inside the yellow rectangle. Press play button to continue.
And that might be a reason to turn the speech settings down. Okay, so let me show you how you get into the menus again if you're in that third setting for your viewing profile. I'm going to just hold the bottom left-hand corner of the screen for 8 seconds, and that's going to ask me if I want to get back in the menu
Do you
again.
want to access the menu?
It's asking me if I want to get back in the menu, and I say check, yes.
Menu. User preferences.
And now I'm back in the menu,
System settings.
and I can change it back. I'm going to change it back to preset 1,
Interface 1.
because that's the default. So I also have the ability to see what version number I'm using. I have a full reset. If I've changed a bunch of stuff, I just want it to be back to how it was when I got it out of the box, hit reset, and you're good to go. You can also change color schemes within your reading mode, and those would be turned on and off
Color black on yellow disabled.
by touching or retouching the things, the different icons that are within this menu here.
Color black on yellow enabled.
And you notice color is spelled in the European way. We're very sophisticated. So the next setting down on the left-hand side is the documents. When I press that,
Documents.
it brings me into all the documents that I have on the internal memory. Okay, I'm going to plug in a USB stick. Now, that's going to show a new icon on the document screen, so I can get to the documents that are on the USB stick. I just
Device storage.
press that, and then I can get to documents that are on my USB.
Internal memory.
When I hit it again, it goes back to my internal memory. So I have 2 different things within here. I can view picture files, which I apparently have none because I'm pressing on the mountain and getting nothing, or I can view files that are in text.
Device storage.
Let me see, so I have some pictures on my USB.
Photo enabled.
That'll show me the photos, because you can save these and export them as just text, or as a photo or a PDF essentially.
Internal memory.
Okay, so let's say I want to do something with a file. I'm going to just press on the file.
File menu.
Long press, and that opens up where I can delete, rename, export, or exit. Since I have a USB stick in there, I can export that.
Export document.
Press that as a picture or as text, cancel or say okay.
Export successful.
And I've exported. Now I just put that document on my USB stick. Now I can do the same thing on my
Device storage.
USB stick.
File menu.
Long press, and now you see it gives me the option to import. Now I can move something from my USB stick to my internal memory. Makes it really easy to move things back and forth. So if you want to get into the advanced settings of Acuity Speech, you just turn it on, press it, hear that, and now I'm going to hold down that power button. Just keep it held down, it'll show you the Rehan splash screen, but then rather than going into live magnification, I'm going to get an advanced menu. First thing that comes up is a bunch of different colors. These are my contrast colors. Okay, so I can move through with either the wheel on the remote control and then select with the contrast or deselect, whichever is suiting. And then on the main controls, I can move through with the plus and minus button back and forth, and I can turn things on and off with the magnifier little icon in the middle. And you'll hear the beep when I turn things on and off. To get to the next screen, I just press the circle in the rectangle icon on the right. So on the next page, I have a bunch of different options. The first one is crop. If I want to reduce the view so I can get a one-to-one view, that default is off. I can turn on and off audio feedback. I can turn on and off the magnification display that shows the level of magnification, or won't, it'll just change it and not display what it is. And then I can also change the automatic magnification, that it changes going between full color and my favorite reading mode. I can also turn on and off various lines and blinds individually. I can change it from 50 Hertz to 60 Hertz if I'm getting flickering or something like that. I can turn on and off the contrast controls. If I don't want to have it do stuff, I can just turn that off. And I do have the white balance turned off because full color always looks good to me, so I don't see the reason. I'm going to press that circle button again and get to the last page of the advanced settings, and this allows me to do a full system reset. Now to get back out of the menu, I can just long press the power button, and then we'll power down the unit. I'll tap it again till it beeps and start it up, and I'm off and running again with whatever changes I made in the advanced menu. So I hope this video has been useful to you in learning how to use your new Acuity Speech desktop video magnifier with speech. If you'd like more information about the Acuity Speech, find us on our website at irie-at.com. Subscribe to the Irie-AT YouTube channel for more videos on the latest in Braille and low vision products.